Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
I believe I've deduced today's episode.
Impossible. There were no clues.
Elementary, my dear Sensei-Sama. It's Syd Craft. Love is a mystery. Welcome, everybody. This is Shonen Jumping the Gun. I am your Sherlock Holmes host, Kermit the Grog, here with my Amory aspiring assistant, Isekai Sensei-Sama Brad. Brad, how you doing?
I'll never be able to figure it out.
Oh, I know, it's a tough one. And joined by the cleverest killer, the most astute assassin, the shrewdest shanker, special guest star from Shonen Flop. Shonen Flop. Oh, my goodness. It's Jordan!
Oh, you'll never catch me. You can't even remember the name of my show.
I've shown myself I'm the killer. I've been caught up in the lie.
It's a contradiction. He said he was listening to Shonen Flop, but that podcast doesn't exist.
Almost Christmas isn't... We're starting off shouty. Oh, my goodness. Yes, as stated, we are covering brand new in Shonen Jump, Weekly Shonen Jump. Syd F. I wrote it down. So Syd Craft, Love is a Mystery, the weirdest new Blizzard game to come out. Jordan, that was your joke. I stole it. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm giving you credit
okay.
in this moment.
That's okay. That's totally all right.
It's on its own, which is weird because normally they drop in clutches of three.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say normally. There was only space for one at this point.
I know,
so.
but usually they wait and kind of build that up. So
I feel like that's a newer Shonen Jump thing. I mean, I'm not Maxi B, but I've
just like
read
picking them
enough of
out as they
Maxi B's
come.
notes.
I have to
I'd
call this
rather
out.
that.
Okay, so the thing this is replacing is Yokai Buster Murakami.
Yeah.
And I am upset.
Which we've covered, and Brad is a big fan of.
About it. I really like that. Jordan, I can't wait for you to read it and hear your
You'll
opinion.
be reading it. I
Because-
forgot.
My next question was how long did it go? And I guess if you're
Not
saying
long
that,
enough.
the answer
Very
is not
short.
very long.
What wasn't
20?
you
I think
no,
it's-
just above U19?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Ooh.
I was having so much fun with it. And to be fair, it ended reasonably well. And I wasn't sure how much longevity it could have, but I was really
It's usually
liking it.
The replacement, I know we're getting distracted, is usually a replacement is not so direct. Usually it's like a firing squad where only one of the people firing has a live round. It's like, there's 3 new series. Not any individual series is what took out your beloved. But in this case, it was very clear, like, Murakami left and this joined in.
Yeah.
And we will talk later more how you feel about that.
I feel like it's been a while since there's been a new manga that's stuck. I haven't really been paying. I mean, most of the time.
Well, you don't get to know that. That's the joy. That's the interesting
That's
of
the
our show to
thing.
your show is that you don't get to know until they are fully out of the woods.
Exactly. I don't think Kagurabachi is going to be a full episode at this point. I think it made it out because it's
Kagurabachi's
the
over
greatest manga ever
50
written.
now, right?
Kagurabachi
Yeah.
is definitely, you guys can just read that normally. If I was a
I
betting,
hear it's better than One Piece.
Well,
if I was a betting person, I would say Ichi the Witch is doing pretty good right now, and people seem to like that one.
there's still not that many chapters though.
No, but it looks like it's getting momentum. It was
Right.
like on a highly read list, which is not normally what happens to these unless we just haven't been paying attention to those statistics. I do not know.
I'll just never forget there was this one period of time where it's like, a bunch of new manga just came out in Shonen Jump, and they were Ichigaki's Under Control, Cypher Academy,
Yep.
Fabricant 100,
Yep.
and then the oh my god, I always mess up this name. It's like Ichinose Family's Deadly Sins.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And all of them got canceled.
I mean, we've been covering everything that's been dropping new in Shonen Jump for at least a year, and I'd be very curious to do a follow-up episode of The Graveyard because a lot of them did not live. Psych House recently also stopped. I don't remember if that was from the last one or maybe that's what this is filling. I don't know.
So
we just covered Psych
You did.
House.
Please do not.
Yeah,
I know you were probably mean to my baby boy. It's okay.
It was
Well,
very
we'll argue about that later.
It was very interesting for them to put out a manga where nothing happened. I really think that was bold.
We got to get back on track.
The episode already came out on Patreon.
Okay,
I already listened to it.
It's too late.
We'll argue about that one later.
We'll have words about that later. We gotta stick to this.
But I did want to call out a piece of information because I asked in the Flop Cord about this because I was curious, looking at like how things get canceled and new things start. I asked like, I would have assumed that there were points in time where Shonen Jump was just full of things that have been running for a while, but apparently that's not the case. So Savia from Shonen Flop Discord, thank you very much for answering this. They did a little bit of research. The lowest chapter number in the issue that had the highest chapter count. So basically the longest it had been since a new series started after one got axed was in 1974. And the chapter count was for Dohazer Tenkaichi, and it was only 22 chapters. So the longest Shonen Jump has ever gone without a new series starting was 22 weeks.
So it's been its blood for literally decades.
They just continue to churn over and over.
It is a place
again.
of violence.
Yeah. I was
it's only gotten
surprised by
worse.
that.
Yeah, it's only gotten more bloodthirsty.
I mean, I've mentioned it a bunch of times on Shonen Flop. Like, a series I love, Kinnikuman, absolutely would have flopped if it came out today. 100%.
That is a whole other episode. So let's quick hop back to this one.
Yeah.
There'll be time for more in depth.
Sorry, I'm
You're
very,
good. You're good. We're excited to have you. You're excited. We're excited.
Guests are always
Yes.
allowed to
Guests
derail
are always
things.
excited to tangent, but there's more tangenty time later. Let me at least get through the boilerplate. Information I got: this series dropped today, November 17th, 2024. We're literally hours out from getting the chapter in U.S. land. This is by Taishi Tutsu, sure, who wrote We Never Learn, which also ran in Weekly Shonen Jump from 2017 to 2020. I have never read that one. I know I've seen it on the app before, so it is at least on the app, but couldn't say anything about it, so they are now back writing for Weekly Shonen Jump. And with that, we will get into my patented speed run summary. What makes a great detective? Within all mystery stories, they appear to solve the crimes and catch the culprits. Much like Stan users, cases and detectives are drawn together by fate. Splash page, Chapter 1, A Great Detective's Fate. At a rainy mansion, Miss Jody is figured out as the murderer by our great detective, Syd Craft. Which, I just want to side tangent. Is his name a pun? It sounds like
it should be, right?
Like, I feel like it's super obvious and I'm just too dumb to figure it
so
out.
maybe it is supposed to be side. Because then it's Side Craft.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it sounds more like a
sounds
pun
like it's
than
a pun.
Syd Craft.
I don't, because the rest of the names feel like. I mean, I guess we're going to get to it in a second. The inspector's
Hey,
name.
somebody ask David Evelyn for us, please. Jordan.
You know him. Your butts, right?
yeah,
Of course. Syd Craft was invited there to be the alibi for the murderer, but he figured it out instead. The inspector, Souffle Flamberry, which is like, that's some top mark names. That's a good name.
See, that's
great.
a good name, and that is kind of a pun. I don't know if that
I don't know where it
classifies as a
fits
pun.
yet.
You
It's
mean-
a funny name. The name, because it's like too
You mean souffle?
Souffle Flamberry. I love that
It's
it's
like saying
Flamberry.
Kakarot is a pun. It's like, I guess.
In the context of all the other sins. Okay,
Yeah.
we have to get to the end of this.
Sorry.
You're good. The inspector, Souffle Flamberry, is frustrated she wasn't able to solve it before Syd. Syd in response coldly observes that solving the case doesn't bring back what's lost. Ooh, so deep and stoic, so crawling in my skin. We see Syd walking home, reading a mystery book and deducing small cases as he goes until he arrives back at his office. An assistant,
Elio's Pizza?
Elio's Pizza.
I thought it was Elio.
Elio
and
makes more
I
sense.
definitely went, oh, McCain Elios.
There you go. Elio is called for, but they are not here. He looks at a framed photo of Miss Jody and falls to the ground. Oh, he had a crush on her. How could she be a criminal and just invite him as a cover? I don't want to be a great detective, but cases just keep showing up. Flashback to 10 years ago to Syd with his parents saying how incredible a detective he will be. But Syd says he doesn't want to do it. He hates blood and scary things, but too bad. It's fate that you will keep solving mysteries. Growing up, everybody seemingly close to him ended up being criminals that he caught. People just started calling him a great detective, and he built up this persona he hates because he didn't want to disappoint everybody. He really just wants to find love and read his romance novels. But wait! Syd's assistant, Elio Evling, arrives. He was out getting groceries, and Syd already solved the mystery in that time. Elio takes him, unwillingly, to the pub to celebrate, and there we meet the cute pub owner, Limery Rose. How does Elio talk to her so easily? He's the center of the party. We see this through a series of photographs on the wall. Despite this, Elio is so in awe of Syd's prowess. My ideal master, he says. Syd determines the barkeep injured her dominant hand as she's serving with her right, but he had deduced from the picture she's left-hand dominant. He curses, making another haughty deduction, but they touch hands, accidentally, and share a moment. Miss Rose wants to hear all about his cases. But then, Inspector Soufflé shows up. There's been a murder in the woods, and the police need your help. They could do it themselves, but they're giving you an opportunity, Babaka. Man shot dead in the woods. Only one pair of footprints, and special shoes very clearly made the marks. But wait.
You know something? I hear when there's only one set of footprints, it's when Jesus is carrying.
So he was complicit in this murder.
Jesus was the murderer.
Yes.
I mean, do we know where he was at that time? Does he have an alibi? It sounds like he's kind of everywhere, including maybe right there.
Are we on canonical Earth?
Anyway.
Yes, but wait. There's a second bloodstain and 2 empty chambers in the gun. The bears can walk backwards through their own tracks, fun fact I learned in Golden Kamui appears, and Syd goes to leave. He has to think on it. Actually, no. In fact, blood makes him pukey, and he needed to get out of there ASAP. Syd randomly thinks back on his first love, whose name or face he can't even remember. While standing around, Miss Rose, the barkeep, appears. What a coincidence. She's walking home.
Did we all figure out his first love as soon as he had that flashback?
Immediately.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I picked it then, but obviously they super, super heavily imply it later.
Yeah. Because they did a little bit with it earlier in the story where they were talking about his childhood, and I had this thought entered my brain of a connection, but as soon as they did that flashback, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I picked it up the second that they said that, but like the second time they brought it up, I'm like, oh, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah. We'll get to the part when I get into the summary where I found it.
I mean, who's his first love?
Who could it be?
Who could it be?
So yes, Rose, the barkeep, appears. What a coincidence. She's walking home. Please escort me, Syd. What a joy. And she's single? Awooga. She again asks about his cases before tripping, and they fall into that accidental embrace we've seen a million times. But in that moment, Syd figures out that she killed the man in the woods. A flashback of his dad comes in with the iron laws of being a great detective. 1, thoroughly observe and memorize any information you take in. Wait, that dead guy was in the pictures at the bar, and he's wearing the same matching necklace Miss Rose is wearing in the pictures. But no, he's just being silly. Eto, she's not a Rule 2! Instantly recognize verbal contradictions. She mentioned a killing in the woods, but the inspector earlier said it was just a corpse and hadn't mentioned murder. It's all coming together, which is Rule 3. Put it all together. Syd presents the story. There were a couple. Rose breaks up with the shoemaker man. He's going to revenge kill her and use the special shoes to make it look like a suicide. Rose comes armed, gets shot in the arm, and returns fire, killing him, and takes his shoes to leave through his footprints. At describing the story, Rose reveals her left arm is shot, and we do the same loop from earlier in the chapter. We're back at the office with Syd, Ilio, and the inspector. They fawn over Syd's ability, and the inspector leaves as Ilio's bending down to pick something up, and oh no, her hat falls off, and he's been a woman this whole time. What a surprise! Shocked Pikachu face.
Oh my god, you know what that means? It means that when she was talking to the bartender and not being completely flustered and embarrassed, it's because she
was a woman.
Girl.
Women can talk to women.
It couldn't be that she just didn't have a crush on her.
Just talk
Every
to people.
guy would immediately have a crush on this girl and be embarrassed to talk to her. It was she was a woman.
But Syd doesn't see it, of course. Outside, the inspector thinks about needing to step up her game as a detective to keep a promise, and it's super heavily implied she's Syd's first love interest when they were kids. End of chapter. That's the part before they show you the image, but when she's like, I have a promise, I was like, oh, it's her.
Yeah. I mean, when she's, it's not even, they don't even let it be that, because she's then like, I wonder who it is. All I remember is that his nickname was Psy.
Yeah.
I know that, and they show the same image that he imagines in his head of like my first love whose name and face I can't remember, and then they use the same exact image. It's like, could you at least make it? I feel like that's my big thing of all this. Could you at least try a little bit to make the mysteries kind of mysterious?
Well, so that's the thing. The thing that I thought that they were doing well here is that all of the little mysteries that were happening, except for the ones where it's like, we're just injecting you at the end here just to see the reveal. The stuff with the shoemaker, those little things, they give you enough information in the previous panels so that when he goes back and explains it, that information was there the whole time.
You could have had it.
So I think the fact that like they're just sort of being in your face and going, yeah, obviously this souffle is his childhood,
and that Elio was a woman the whole time.
Yeah, well, in that one, because as soon as she showed up, the first panel, I was like, "That's a woman."
That's a woman.
And then
she has the female eye
and
shines.
then when
men don't get eye shines,
right.
They're not cool enough.
When they kept going, he, I was like, "What?"
I know, and I was like, am I confused? Like, because at first I was just like, are we doing the anime thing where boys look like women for some reason? But like the eye shines were just so like, it's a woman. She has the eye shines.
You know what's
nobody else has the eye shine.
What's really funny about that is that as soon as they started going, he, I was like, wait a minute. Is this a Yokai Buster Murakami situation?
Where we were confused.
Because in the first chapter of that, we were like, "That's a girl."
We misgendered it, but there was no point to it. There was no pronouns, and we literally just thought it was a woman.
And then as they went through it more, and it's like, oh, he doesn't feel weird about around women and all that. I was like, oh, I think it actually is a girl.
Yeah, I think that's where I was just like, but I was just so dead set on those eye shines. I'm like, why are we doing this bit, or is just have we upped the game of men that look like women in manga and anime?
It really did feel like, oh, is he younger than I was expecting? Like, what the fuck is going on here? But yeah, no, like I enjoyed reading this chapter, and it's like shame that this series isn't gonna hit 30 chapters. But, like,
I hope you liked it, because you're gonna be reading it again in a couple of months.
Yeah, because this author can't write mysteries for shit.
But see, this is the thing. I think what's happening here, to me, it strikes me as the same thing that Shoujo
I was just going to say, is this Shoujo where we came in and thought it was more serious, and then it was more of a gag?
Yeah.
But we only had one chapter?
Yeah, I think it's a gag/comedy series.
Interesting.
Okay,
I mean, it's definitely a comedy to that extent. Sorry.
Here's the thing. It's not that funny.
No.
That's the problem.
Was first Shoujo funny, though?
No. It was funny here and there.
Shoujo became funnier over time when it showed you that it just wanted to goof around.
And for this, I thought it was funny enough here and there. The fact that I picked up like, oh, they're going for a comedy angle here.
Yeah.
And I think, so I like this. I like lots of stuff.
Of course you do.
I enjoyed
like
it.
this.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
I can't disagree that I think that maybe it won't survive. I have a hope that it will. I have a hope that it'll sort of like ramp things up and do that, because I like this more than Shoujo. This is doing what I wish Shoujo was doing, where it's
Can I just like tell you some of the things that stuck out to me? First of all, this really did not sell me on him being a good detective. When we sat there and were like the second we immediately figured out, oh, this is his long lost friend.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a girl.
Yeah.
Oh, like I should look, if you're trying to sell me on this, I should not.
That's the bit. As much as I did not like this manga and do not want to defend it, I think that's the bit, is that when it comes to matters of love, the thing that he supposedly actually wants, he's garbage.
But the other two women, the other two cases, the first murder case we opened with and the second one with the shoemaker, both involved women that he was crushing
when
on.
He has to crush on them. He's not crushing on these women, ergo his superpowers don't kick in. He has to become close to them.
I didn't pick that up.
They're not close. It's an undead unluck situation.
Never mind. This series is going to be a hit.
Yeah.
I hate that I just came up with that. I don't like this. I did not like. Jordan, because you don't get to read these first chapters as much as we do as they're coming out, and you only get them in bits and pieces weeks later. I have been sick since like a clutch or two of manga ago. I am so sick of men who can't talk to women and that being the main gag.
It's lamest joke.
There's a bunch coming. Hi, someday you're going to have to talk about Shinobi Undercover. You're going to have to do it again. I
Oh, boy.
pray to fucking Allah above that you don't get to talk about Kyoshi, even though it's probably going to happen. Admittedly, I like Kyoshi. I think they handle it a lot better. This
What's
just
really-
keeps happening.
What's really funny is David mentioned on a recent episode that he read a few chapters of it and realized that it was going to get canceled and stopped.
Read what? Shinobi?
Shinobi Undercover.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, no, I mean, this was a really stupid chapter. Like,
What?
it was...
What is
It was
going on
like-
with the mangaka?
So, first of all, he's also not that great of a detective because I'm sorry, banging your arm on, like, a wall and getting it injured, like, that way, very different from getting shot in the arm.
Yeah.
If you get shot in the arm, you're not just like, oh, I'm just not gonna use that arm for a bit. You're, oh my god, I have to bandage this up super hard. I have to like put it in a sling and shit. Like that is a difficult
and
injury
they
to
just
hide,
found the
man.
body. It is hours since she's gotten shot, right?
Yeah,
Well, the body, they were like, oh, he was killed this morning.
Yeah, exactly. So literally earlier that day, she got shot in the arm.
Now,
And then
to be
also-
fair,
and then also
it
killed
was
a man.
It was her forearm. It wasn't her upper arm. So there.
No, but that's still. Also, somebody made the point in the Discord that I think is a good point. That was a killing in self-defense, wasn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
she wouldn't
absolutely.
She probably wouldn't have gone to jail for that. Although,
Like, it should have been the other way around. She should have done a revenge killing on him, and that was the bit. But the whole thing is, like,
Yeah.
he literally shot her. Like, that's. Maybe it's because we're Americans, but it's like that
Yeah.
instantly activates the stand your ground.
I think a lot of it has to do with, well, first of all, different Japanese justice system.
Yeah.
But also, like, because she covered it up, that it's like, oh, you.
But she covered it like 'cause
She
we're just-
shouldn't have. She should have gone,
because-
hey,
because
help.
They probably live in
I
weird
killed this guy in
Japan,
self-defense.
Europe,
Yeah.
in the way that the Phoenix Wright games take
I was gonna
place
say,
in
like, Phoenix
Japan,
Wright,
Now,
Japanifornia.
Here's the thing.
California. Yeah,
I'm not. I think you're right. The mysteries aren't really that deep and involved. There's some weird stuff where it's like set up. However, if they're leaning into the comedy of this, I don't think they have to have actual complex mysteries and stuff.
But I think it's cool that I don't think it was good, but I think it was cool and admirable that they tried to set up the mystery in a way that you probably couldn't solve it, but all the pieces were there. We looked at the photographs. We learned about her arm. Like, I still think it was silly, but like, I think also that takes a lot of work that doesn't seem like it's going to be in the power of the mangaka to do that consistently.
The humor of it did a lot of heavy lifting for me, because when I was reading through it, I didn't really care about the mysteries that much because I was having fun. The situations were funny and interesting.
Okay. For me, I hated the characters and things going on, so the mysteries were like, this is the only piece that I have left. Because I did not like, I hate everybody's moe blob or male non-blob. Like, I'm
Again,
sick of it.
again, I just feel like it wasn't funny enough for that to be the sole carry.
Have
know,
you read
like-
shoujo?
Murakami,
I don't think so.
can be funny at a moment. Well, you're probably not to because I think it's going to live long enough. Murakami, we both had we thought
Yeah.
that first chapter was hilarious.
So, and this is the thing. So for me, Murakami was a quintessential gag manga because, at least for me, every single page had a laugh.
there were constantly like joke. It was a joke vessel.
Shoujo to me is more normal comedy where it's like the situations they're in are funny. It's more a sitcom kind of thing where it's like
yeah.
you set up a thing for a couple pages and then you have a punchline payoff to it, where there's a funny situation that is occurring, an absurd thing happens, but it's not every single page. And this feels much more like shoujo in that, like, it's a comedy. You're not going to have a laugh every single page, but they'll set up something that's interesting and then you have a laugh payoff at the end.
But
Sorry, you go, Jordan.
it's very stupid.
I like stupid stuff.
I mean, the thing is, like, my problem is that, like, the mysteries are extremely subpar, and you could say it's not really going for that. But then that means that there is a section of the manga, like a core section of the manga, that is subpar.
Preach.
That's the thing.
I get it.
It's like, because you're selling this to me as a comedy manga with mysteries.
Technically,
and then
you're being. The tin on the front says this is a mystery romance series.
a mystery romantic comedy. but also the mysteries are bad. Like,
and the romance is questionable.
the romance is subpar. Like, it would be one thing if it was doing like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine thing almost, but like it spends a lot of time focusing on the things that lead to, like the clues that lead to Syd finding, like deducing the truth. It's just that they're not that interesting. Like, and it's just, I don't know. And you say like, oh, well, he can only solve, like, are you saying like he can only solve like mysteries if he has crushes on like?
Well, if they're like that's I don't. By virtue of the evidence, the mystery that I've solved is that he's described, because it's not always love, because at one point they describe a childhood friend who was a boy that was a part of like a mob drug ring. So it seems like he has to get close to them, whether that's intentional or not, or
unless
just,
he's bi.
What? You know, you're right. He could be bi. I don't want to bi erasure. I don't think that's what's happening, but...
But he also found that old man's glasses just by looking at him and being like, you got soap on your shirt. So clearly your glasses are in the fucking washroom. Like...
Yeah. Actually, counterpoint. He's not bi. He can talk to men.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
If he was
like
bi,
Eliza
he'd be
Thornberry.
able to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Eliza Thornberry. Like, he has the power to talk to men. She has the power to talk to animals. Oh, God.
What is... Okay, here's we'll go into some of our normal questions. What is something you want to see more of going forward, and what's something you want to see less of?
So the thing about, like, I am a little bit worried here, because normally a first chapter, they spend a bunch of time before it comes out to make the first chapter. The first chapter is your debut. So you spend a bunch of time writing it and drawing it and everything before it comes out, because then you have to go week to week. The fact that the mysteries in this first chapter are subpar
and already
at best,
wrapped. Everything's already wrapped. There's no hook besides we're going to do more of this and he might find love.
You had the time before this came out to come up with a good mystery to have in this first chapter. And what you came up with was the guy wore reverse shoes.
Oh, was that what it was? I just thought they were weird.
He wore weird shoes that were the size of his ex-girlfriend's. Or they made
that he specially made because he was a shoemaker.
Because he was going to go back and make it look like a suicide.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that, like, we're poking so many holes in this, and it was like, this is the first one. This is the one you had time to figure out.
This is the one that you get to firm
also,
up to everything.
I think the mysteries are going to go downhill, unfortunately.
I'm confused, like, because, like, he walked out there wearing those shoe prints, like, with the idea of, like...
So he walked in backwards, right?
It'll be the same size shoe prints, but,
no, he'll walk out backwards. Presumably, he walked in her tracks that he followed out there.
No, I thought she came from another direction.
Maybe.
Wait, how would she know? I guess she told him to be there. How would she know he wore them? It's stupid. Don't think.
Also, wouldn't there be two sets of tracks anyway? Just they would have the same size, like the same size shoe prints.
Okay,
wouldn't there be a thing where she got shot in the arm and probably fell down? Which she fell down, didn't she?
That's why there was blood in the other spot.
But wouldn't there be a space where a body clearly was in the snow if there's footprints?
I'm gonna explain this.
Okay,
because it does actually work. Right. So they break up.
Brad is turning into Sherlock himself.
He's mad about it, right? So he goes, "Hey, let's meet up one more time. Whatever it is, I
need to give your CDs back.
Whatever." And so she's like, "Okay, we'll meet up." She walks out into the woods. He puts on these shoes that match hers. The soles match her soles. And then he walks out into the woods the same way she went, in her tracks.
Okay.
So it looks like one set of tracks.
Correct.
He gets out there. He is standing back from her. He shoots her.
He just starts blasting.
In the arm. Why he thinks that kills her, I don't know. Whatever. He walks up, still in her tracks, puts the gun in her hand.
Oh, I thought she came already armed.
No. I wanted to call that out.
Because there's a shot where she's standing and holding a gun.
Yeah. So he walks up, puts the gun in her hands because he wants to make it look like a suicide.
Yeah.
By shooting herself in the arm. I don't know.
Don't think about it.
So he gets up. He starts walking backwards, right? He's still facing her. She stands up and shoots him right through the heart.
Okay, that's where that
shot through the heart, and she's to blame.
Correct.
Yeah. He
So
just does
now
love a bad name.
she goes, "Oh, I saw what he was doing to make this look like a suicide. I'll do the same thing to him." So she walks backwards through her tracks, puts the gun back in his hand, and then walks backwards out of the woods. One set of tracks in.
Those are some deep ass tracks now, though.
That's true.
Yeah,
they're gonna be messed up too.
But it was really
like,
muddy, so it makes
feel-
sense that there was very deep impressions because it was mud.
Again, I don't know. I feel like if you're the world's best detective, you would be like, weird. Those tracks look strange. Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like.
Also, I think that he actually figured out the entire mystery while he was out in the woods.
Yeah.
And it was just when he met up with her, he was like...
I think he pieced it together, but I don't think he knew who his suspect was yet, because you don't know.
No, I think so, because he was talking about, like, he looked at those photos and he saw that the necklaces
Well, that's
matched.
the thing. He's doing the psych thing or monk thing where he retains all information.
She took the necklace off of him.
I feel like he was in denial. It was like, it's probably her, but like, I don't want to...
Yeah, because literally after
Can I just pretend it's not?
Where he pieces together the necklace, he goes, "Oh, I'm overthinking." Like, he literally makes the silly face and he goes, "I'm overthinking things.
Yeah.
It can't be that." You could... Dude, Syd, you could still hit that. That was a self-defense murder.
That's what I'm saying.
This is a local business owner. She is single and ready to mingle. She was not... She is a killer via self-defense.
See,
Yeah,
that's
she wasn't
what,
gonna...
She tanked a fucking bullet. This one's a real one.
She wasn't going to kill that guy herself.
No.
Now hold the fuck on, because we just discovered a way that this series could be interesting, which is that...
Which they'll never do.
Which they
continue.
won't do, but because it would mean where, like, Syd is, like, covering up his girlfriend's crime.
Oh!
Like, simultaneously solving crimes, but also keeping the police from being on the trail of his girlfriend's
I think
crime.
my girlfriend is a serial killer.
Wait. No, this is great, because then Inspector Flamberry has to actually figure it out.
We have made a much better manga.
And
right. Shit.
And her figuring that out will be the thing, because if she can overcome Syd's machinations, that means she's
better than him in that she kept the promise, but then they want to kiss.
Because this could have been, if you just change the ending of this chapter, you have set up, because the problem is there's no hook.
There's no
Where
hook,
the fuck is this series
I don't care
going?
about this guy finding love. Do you know how many men that I've read manga about who couldn't talk to women? I don't give a shit about them.
Like, where the fuck is this going? Oh, it's gonna be a mystery of the week, and then slowly he's gonna, like, build up a romance with, like, his
somebody said it might be a harem, and I hated how right they were.
No, it might be a harem.
I know. That's why I said I hated how right they were.
There is a good chance this is a harem. But it's just like, you've set up a motive where the guy's like, I want love, but all the people I have crushes on keep getting arrested because they're murderers.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just like, it's like right there off there.
Does that mean he can only date Flamberry when she's killed somebody?
She's a cop. I'm sure she has already.
He builds up a harem of murderers, and he has to like throw the cops off. See, that's an interesting
manga. Yes, I think all my girlfriends are the 100
all my
girlfriends
are murderers.
All have them committed crimes.
Hey, I'd like to thank you, Jordan, because you brought it back around to where we think it'll go.
Not there. I think it's just going to be more case of the week stuff for a while.
Where do we want it to go? What do we want more of?
If there is one thing that I have realized about a lot of Shonen Jump manga, especially the ones that fail, is that they are terrified of making a morally gray protagonist.
That is a really good point.
Morally gray protagonist. Like, in Psych House, you know, like, they have a character this is just the most recent example, where her whole thing is that she reads minds, and she uses it to cheat at poker. But she only cheats against people who are cheating. So really, is she actually a bad guy? Like, is she actually doing anything wrong? In fact, the casino thanks her for defeating them, because they're all cheating worse than she is. And it's like, no, just have her cheat. Like,
we admittedly
why are you doing that?
Just ran into my favorite character that does that. We read, I've read all of it, but we read for the show I Shield 21. I don't know if you've ever read it. Haruma is that, and I don't think I've ever seen a character in another manga like it, where it's like, he's the most crime that has ever been, but he's on your side. He is ride or die. There's never a question. There's never a waving. The most evil man in the series is your buddy. And that will never change. And it's like, that's kind of fun.
And guess what? iShield 21 is the best sports manga ever written.
Yes!
So, yeah. or Chainsaw Man, even. Like, Denji is not perfect.
Genji's that is a really good point. The thing that here,
Denji,
let's trade here. Go. We'll trade cards then.
No, Denji at one point lets like he does like it turned there's like the Spider-Man dilemma from the first Spider-Man movie where he's like, do I save the girl or like the train car full of people?
The carload of the people, yeah.
And then Denji just lets them both die so he could save a cat. Like,
yeah.
I don't think he has a moral dilemma about that, though.
You know what sold
he
more
doesn't have a
copies,
moral
Chainsaw
dilemma.
Man or Psychounts? You know,
but
we
that's
got to
my
compare
point.
them.
He does not have the moral dilemma.
There's nothing messy about this. It's too by the numbers clean. Here, Jordan. Here's my pitch to you as somebody who's done a lot of these first episodes for things that flop. It's when the first chapter is oh no, the mangaka already caught the mail truck and there's nowhere to go. And they don't know. They don't have a plan where they're going next. I think I coined that, or at least thought of it. Like, do retry as that. The first chapter of that happens, and then it caught the mail truck from chapter 1, and clearly has no idea where it's going. And so many manga are like, they were a one-shot, and then just were like, what the fuck do I do now? I don't know. I only had one chapter in me, because this was a one-shot before, and they didn't know where it was going. Like, any time where there's a series where it's like, oh, you made the first chapter fun, and I can feel you building machinations for things, it's like a small miracle.
That's a good call on Do Retry, because if you actually like think about how like what that series could be.
Yes, Retry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Do Retry.
Retry.
You know what? That's the name it deserves.
Stupidest fucking shit.
That's the name it deserves.
Correct. Because that first chapter, I loved it because I thought it was cool. I thought it was weird. It was like messy that it was bringing in like Japan and World War II, which like they never talk about, and it was super fascinating. But then it was like, oh, you didn't have anything past this opener, did you? We had to bring out the man who masturbates every day to fight.
Oh God. Yeah, right. No, the thing is about Do Retry. You're talking about a boxing manga and in World War II where this kid, like I thought when we started reading it, like this is going to be about manga about this kid struggling to like make a name for himself and build up when nobody believes in him and stuff like that. No, that woman believes in him from the first chapter.
Everybody believes in him. He just suffers a lot of brain damage for no reason.
Everyone believes in him. Like, well then you started the manga at the least interesting spot, author. You skipped the struggle.
So I think there's a connection point there. You know, we were talking about the main character for Syd, where he can't talk to women and everything.
Yeah.
I think there's a specific choice that the mangaka are doing here where they're going, I'm targeting this series. It's going in Shonen Jump. And who reads Shonen Jump? Awkward teenage boys who can't talk to women.
Yeah. But they could. If you stop giving them role models that can't talk to women, they could you know what manga doesn't have that problem that's set in a high school with children? You and me are polar opposites. There is an intergender friendship group in there, and I love it to pieces, and that has no issues.
I don't disagree with you.
You're missing a bigger thing, though, that I think about a lot, and that is, and I don't have statistics on this, but I feel like most starting mangaka who put out like their first couple series, early 20s. You know,
I mean, you could. I'm not going to say I've never been nervous to talk to somebody who was cute and I had a crush on, but when it extends to literally all women and this keeps showing up and it is constantly played for comedy, like this is why.
True. You're
again,
right.
Someday, hopefully, whether for the show or not, you'll be reading Kyoshi. Kyoshi has that, but Kyoshi feels like the most grounded a shonen series has ever been about social anxiety. It's the one that has most made me feel seen. It's like, it's not like I don't struggle from this. It's just, it's so frustrating to have it played so bluntly for the same comedy. And it's like, this isn't funny or interesting. It's annoying now.
I keep going back to Chainsaw Man, but it's amazing that Denji does not have this issue.
He's just happy to eat. He doesn't care about Shin.
But he
does. He wants to touch a boob. He wants to touch a boob. Yeah, there's a wall and he overcomes it.
He wants to touch boobs. He is constantly thinking about sex, but he never does this.
No.
He'll talk to women as like they're humans, kind of.
He's awkward around them sometimes because he doesn't freaking know anything, and that is what makes Denji interesting and at points relatable. Because it's like, yes, it's not so like, oh, I can't touch a woman. How do you do that? And it's like, we're people, just whatever.
It's too. The thing is, it's like it's to a comedic extent, but we've seen this joke so many fucking times.
Yes. And you're going to see it more, Jordan. You haven't even seen them all recently. You don't even know the full extent, and you're already tired like I'm tired.
I'm so excited.
Be excited. Get it. Everybody get excited for Shinobi Undercover.
So before
not Hakutaku, he's too autistic to think about that.
Before we go into the wrap-up segments, I just wanted to touch on the art real quick.
Yes.
Fairly generic, but I did think that the character designs were pretty good. The Elio, whatever, I thought her design was good. The detective Souffle, Flamberry, they're not like out of this world, but like
they're moe blobs. They're moe blobs, and he is not sensei. He's protag Sama.
I will
he's an adult. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of chapter 1.
Look,
sorry.
To give him credit, I've seen worse.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's damning with faint praise. It is literally damning with faint praise. But I have seen worse. This author is, at the very least, in terms of character design, I would say that they are competent.
It didn't turn me off.
Workmanlike. You know me. I hate generic. Yeah. Generic pisses me off. I'd rather it be bad.
So, like, Dear Anemone turned me off. The art in Dear Anemone I didn't like, except for the monsters.
You don't like Hell's Paradise?
Hell's Paradise looks different. Okay. But
in the first chapter, they literally say that place is like hell
paradise
and paradise and hell.
You can't say what you're cribbing your notes from in chapter 1. That's not cool. You can't do that. That's cheating.
Maybe it's like if I acknowledge it, then they can't say I ripped it off.
Yeah, right.
If I'm so blatant about it that I name trap it, nobody can say I wasn't stealing.
But I did. So with the art in this one, I was like, oh, okay, this is decent. And I know the character designs weren't enough for you, but I thought they were all right.
I never got confused about what was happening. I just hated seeing the characters. They were the most generic goo. They are the goo that is turned into McNuggets at McDonald's.
Gotta agree with Kermit on this one. It's just,
right.
they felt very generic. They rolled off my back. I'm
not going to say I don't like McNuggets, but you don't like the goo.
I thought Flamberry had a cute hat. I like her hat and trench coat.
Hey, do you know if you want what this series is, but better? Play literally any Phoenix Wright game. I've been literally watching a Phoenix Wright Let's Play right now. Literally
I
just
play.
Like,
that, yeah.
There's one that's literally like a Sherlock Holmes parody. Go play that one. I've never played it. I'm sure it's great. People like it. Go do that.
Which Let's Play are you watching?
I'm watching Wooly Versus' playthrough of the first one, and they've been doing voice acting for all of it, and they have been doing a great job with it.
I was watching a Let's Player stream by a Thai Tuesday, and he pointed out something, which is the way that you beat a Phoenix Wright game is that you get a piece of paper, and every time a number comes up, you just write down the number.
Yes. Oh, that's good. This number will be important.
The number will be important.
The number will be on the test.
All right, so
okay. we gotta land the plane.
Let's just confirm feelings.
Okay, so let's count to 3 and shout them. Let's not do that. Jordan, you're our guest. You go first. How do you feel about this manga?
Well, as I said, this first chapter, I didn't hate reading it, and it's a shame it's not gonna hit 30 chapters because this is like, the more we're talking about it, the less I like it. You know, I find it very, I find it very generic, and it does a lot of things competently. I feel like it doesn't do many things like or anything like super horribly, but it doesn't do enough good thing. It doesn't do enough things well enough. It's just kind of, it's so mid.
I think
It's so mid-tier.
So in our rankings, I believe that would fall as fine positive.
I would have said mad derogatory.
I would say fine negative.
Yeah, fine derogatory.
Fine derogatory, yes.
Fine parenthesis derogatory.
Yes, that's how I feel.
I would have said because you...
Say your feelings then.
I would have thought...
your feelings. They're not Jordan's feelings.
Because you enjoyed it, that would be fine positive. But
Nah, I don't think so. I mean...
It didn't shift to bad.
I feel like it would... I've read a lot of bad shit, okay?
Yeah.
I've read a lot of really shitty manga. This series is definitely not the bottom of the barrel.
No.
But it's in the barrel.
And I guess that's the difference here is I've read a lot of shitty manga too, and I like them.
We've had every so often we get an episode where both of us do the JoJo Part 5 meme where we just curb stomp a manga together and it's a joyous occasion.
So I'm going to say good. I did enjoy this. I liked what it was doing. There was plenty of stuff that wasn't great, but as a week-to-week read, I think I'm going to be happy enough with it.
See, that's the thing. I feel like this is probably the best chapter, and that is derogatory.
You're probably not wrong, but we'll see.
I feel that this is bad. I think it's very generic. I think it's very messy. I think it's very clumsy and hackneyed, but it's not doing or saying anything. I didn't find it funny. It has no... Its most redeeming quality is its competency, which is not a reason to read something. I do not read things that get a participation ribbon.
Do you know why I didn't? The reason I didn't hate it, because there's like one reason, and that is because when it turned out that he was into romance novels and then pretended that he liked mystery novels, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like all he wants to do and say is read his mystery novel, but Elio has to take him out. Comically, technically a date, then. This is a woman taking a man out to a bar.
Oh my god.
Scandalous.
If they share a glass, it'll be an indirect kiss.
The moment she fucking says, "You're my favorite master," or something, it's like, a man... a woman shouldn't say that. Nobody should say that.
Well,
outside of a very particular context.
When they're
like,
saying...
A boy is not going to say that about, "You're my favorite master." Like, barf.
I think that's probably in more of the context of, like, sensei.
Yeah.
No, we know that the localizer for this series is a very good localizer. We do know these things. He localizes Undead Unluck, and he's doing a fantastic job with it. So that was clearly...
Well, doesn't sensei literally translate to master, though?
Something
yeah, but you would...
There's
a
lot of...
He would have known the context, that it would have been like teacher or mentor or like any number of other words, and not "you're my favorite master," which has such a...
Maybe there's just not a
buzzing
good...
tinge around it, especially after the episode that just dropped this week for Show to Jump the Gun when we're talking about this.
Because sensei can be sort of a more generalized, like, this is a person above me who is imparting wisdom and taking care of me and all that stuff. Maybe master is just the best translation, even though it holds some connotation for us.
You're my favorite master. It's
all I know,
so tinged, dude.
Look, Kermit, all I know is that there's only one person in this call who's a sensei. And it's not you and me.
Nope. No, you make a good argument. I will stop throwing stones.
Anyway, unfortunately, we have come to the part of the episode where we must duel.
We must duel. We had a situation where one of us liked something and one of us... Oh, wait, before we do that, we have to say, would you buy it? Would you buy the first volume? Jordan, if you have not heard the specific pitch in the episodes you've listened to, pretending that you read this first chapter, opening up the first tankobon at a bookstore, would you spend cash to take it home with you to keep reading?
No.
Cool. Brad, would you spend money to keep reading this?
No.
Okay.
Caveat.
Okay.
Because this is important.
Okay.
Because as I said...
We always have caveats for these. It's okay.
I enjoyed this, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that comedy series are things that I want to own. There might be one out there that's like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever read, that I might want the volumes of. But for this, like, I enjoy reading it, but I'm just going to read it once and then be done with it. I don't want to reread it ever.
I respect that.
So it's just... I don't want the tankobon positive.
I don't want the tankobon respectfully.
Respectfully.
I was going to say, there's no way There's no positive way to spin that. Maybe respectful.
That's the joy of just being able to put whatever modifier you want at the end of the sentence. That's why you can have this is terrible lovingly.
I do have to have that caveat because Would You Buy the Tankobon has replaced Would You Keep Reading This?
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep reading this.
That's never the question. That's why that's one of the reasons we changed it, is that we stopped caring about what lived and died.
But you're not going to keep reading it.
No! I will maybe read chapter 2 out of a gross curiosity and probably drop it.
Let me ask you this then, Brad. Would you stand in the Barnes & Noble and read through the rest of the volume without buying it?
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that with so many comics, though.
I used to do that a lot when I was younger.
It sort of does depend how dense this is, because if the subsequent chapters have a lot of text in them, then I probably wouldn't stand there and read it because it would take me half an hour instead of 10 minutes.
Would you sit down in one of the chairs in the Barnes & Noble and read it, though?
Yes, but our Barnes & Noble doesn't have any chairs near the manga section.
You can still walk. I've taken manga, not in that one specifically, but I've definitely taken manga over to the crappy chairs in the coffee place and sat at those.
Will they bitch at you if you go into the Starbucks with something you haven't bought?
It's never happened before.
Because like the Starbucks is like inside the Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, the Barnes & Noble where I used to live, I do that a couple times when I had a night where I just wanted to go out and kill time.
I've definitely taken books that I haven't bought into that area.
Yeah.
But I don't have to worry about this because I have a Viz subscription.
Yeah, that's not this problem. That's also one of the reasons why we tried to put money on the line, because it's like, duh, I'm going to pay my $3 a month and read this, dummy. Okay, now we're at the high noon, the duel, because one of us did not like something and one of us liked it, so the person who didn't like it, which is me, has to say one nice thing about it, and the person who did like it needs to say one bad thing about it.
Jordan, you were exempt from this because you're in the middle of us on this.
Yes, you get to.
I am leaning greatly towards Kermit, I will say.
You get to judge who wins the duel, because despite the fact that there's technically no winner, we learned from the last time we dueled, there's a winner.
I don't know, it sort of sounds like Jordan's your second.
Because here's the thing, even though I kind of enjoyed reading this, I still think it's bad.
That's fair.
Oh, okay. One good thing about it, I really like Souffle Cranberry. What's her last name again? Flamberry. I wanted her name to be Souffle Flambe, but I'll take Flamberry.
That is a Phoenix Wright-ass name.
I'm a sucker for a Zenigata. What can I say? Even if she is a Moe blob.
Okay. The worst thing about this is how good of a detective he is while also being a terrible detective.
Yes.
I feel like that's the bit.
There's no way that he wouldn't have figured out that Flamberry is his childhood friend. There's no possible way he wouldn't know that Elio was a girl.
Maybe he has this head trauma. I don't know why I'm defending this.
We figured out it was a girl immediately.
Well, I don't think you can see eye shines in universe. That might be in manga vision.
Here's the problem, Kermit. I feel like you're saying it's the bit because it's the only way that it makes sense, but the manga has not at all clarified that it is the bit.
Everything that I have noticed is something that I don't know. Like, it might be, the manga might be doing, and I don't like it. I noticed it because it's vaguely clever, but it doesn't feel like the manga is trying to communicate that to me.
I don't think this manga is clever. I think that this manga beats you over the fucking head with things.
Yeah, because now every other romance he gets is meaningless because he already has the end of chapter 1. We've already set up. Well, obviously I went with either of these two because these are the love interests. So if another one shows up, it's just an instant red flag, and that's boring.
I will say that if this is the bit, the author did a shitty job setting it up.
Shitty bit.
So,
I win, but not because I want to.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yep. True. Nope, that's right. You dug deep. You went further than me. I did not glow, and you accessed that side of yourself. Yep. And I respect you for doing that, sir.
Yeah, it's the definition of a Pyrrhic victory, really.
Yeah.
The continuing war when we play High Noon.
You won. Well, what did it cost? Everything.
Everything. Absolutely everything.
And with that, we are at the end of the episode. So, Brad, hit me with them plugs.
Well, as always, we got to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Our listeners can use code APR15 or check the link in the description, get 15% off their order at sugoimart.com. And we want to know what people think, so hit us up on social media, which you can find the links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. You can leave comments up on the posts, the episode posts up there, as well as finding the links to like our Discord, where you can come and chat with us. Jordan is also on our Discord, so you can find him there if you're not already on the Shonen Flop Discord,
which is a good Discord to be on as well.
Please.
And of course, we've got our Patreon. Our supporters get perks like bonus episodes, getting the high quality stereo version of the podcast early, and getting to vote on what series we cover on heroin addiction. And of course, we got to shout out our patrons. First and foremost, at our noble tier, we have our marquee, Sir Cake Dwarf. At our reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last but not least, at our commoner tier, we've got Rena and Kill Hour. So thank you so much to all our patrons.
Thank you.
Jordan, what do you got going on?
Well, as mentioned, you check out my podcast, Shonen Flop, where me and my co-host David, we cover manga that, like this series is probably going to get canceled. If this series does get canceled before it hits like 30 chapters, like I think it will, this will be an episode of our podcast.
If I was a betting human, I would bet on this showing up
I
on
would
your
bet
podcast
on it as
in
well.
a couple months.
Now the question is, do you continue reading this as it's coming out, or do you have to wait until it gets canceled?
I have to wait till it gets canceled.
Damn.
Because here's the thing.
That's integrity.
Well, it's not just that. It's that we do mini episodes. We do the Shonen Flop Chibi. Yeah. And on them, we make guesses of how we think the manga is going to go. So the only way to do that is to maintain a veil of ignorance.
You could write your summary and your chibi guesses down right now.
I was just going to say, when you do the chibi, you can just edit what you said in this podcast, and then David can just react to what you said here without us in it.
I don't want to read it though.
It's funny because before I've been tempted if you stuff that you've covered we haven't gotten to yet of taking your chibi episode summary. I haven't done it yet, but I thought about it.
That's illegal.
I wanted to say, especially because I wanted to give you props on not starting this fucking plot summary by going, Syd is a detective, because if you notice, I start out every plot summary by going, main character is a middle schooler who's like this,
now
and
that
he
you've
knows
said that,
this.
I don't think I've noticed it, but now that you say it, it's like they all like a puzzle piece. It all clicked in place.
They're all.
You do that a lot.
I do that every time.
We all have our writing quirks.
Yeah, basically.
And don't forget to check out Mission Ignition.
Yes,
thank
important.
you. Check out Mission Ignition, a show where me, my friend Shambam Bamana, and my friend Ganymede, we watch a TV show that only I remember from the 90s called Vampires. That's VAN, not M. N as in Nancy, -PIRES. And I can't explain it to you. It's impossible because it's a fucking fever dream. It's about CGI. It's about teenagers who turn into CGI car abominations, and they suck oil, and
starring Gary Oldman.
Well, actually,
how many episodes are there? Because I feel like you've been making this podcast for a long time, and it does not seem like a series that would have that many episodes.
No, there's 12. We're just lazy as fuck.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say we just keep watching them over and over again.
No, we just, There's only 12 episodes.
On today's episode, we're covering episode 2
Isn't
again.
there like a podcast that watches every year they watch the same movie and do another episode on it every year?
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
just every year for each month you watch an episode of Vampires and talk about it. You just keep doing that, and that slowly becomes this weird baseline hum of how you're changing as a person and what's going on.
So there was the worst idea of all time where Tim Batt and Guy Montgomery, every week they watched Grown Ups 2.
That's what it was. That's what I'm thinking of. I've never listened to that because it sounds like it would be miserable, but by God, do I want to hear about it. It sounds magical.
Great podcast. It is a really good podcast. We actually had Tim Batt on an episode that we did, Double Taisei. It was a really good episode, and Tim did not realize that the manga would be 45 chapters, and he had to read the whole thing.
Oof.
like that day.
Oh,
poor baby.
That's probably something you want to check ahead of time.
Yeah.
We have since put in a limit.
Yes, correct. Smart.
Yeah, so we tend not to go over 40 chapters anymore. If it goes, like, now we would do Double Taisei as, like, a Patreon series.
Yeah. You got to pay for that extra effort.
Yeah, pay for that shit, man.
I did appreciate my episode for Patreon for Shonen Jump, for Shonen Flop is currently pinned on the Patreon feed, even though a new episode has come out.
Oh, God.
Whether on purpose or laziness. Golf clap.
Apologies to Xander Cannon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right, everybody. Just subscribe to our Patreon so you can hear us cover things that weren't on the main episode. That's right, you got to pay for some shit. Give us some money, because we're broke.
Oh, and speaking of which, this is for both our Patreons.
Oh.
Patreon has gift subscriptions now. So if you are a listener and you wanted to support us on Patreon, either us or Shonen Flop or both, you can ask people for Christmas to give you a subscription.
Oh, I thought you could give somebody else a subscription.
Well, that too.
That too. Thank you, Jordan and Brad. Make sure you listen to all of the podcast things that come out on our feed. And to all these mangaka out there, from the immortal words of Bayonetta, if you have trouble talking to women, ask your mom.
We got to do...
I have my opening bit. I have my nicknames already. I have my background information.
Oh, you actually prepared this time.
I know. That's what I said. I got over my own pride and wrote it down instead of constantly shooting myself in the foot going, I'll be creative in the moment, and it never works.
We're at 50-50.
Admittedly, some of that was I had to write the summary and I didn't want to do it, so I just dawdled on other things, so...
Now that's very interesting that I hear. I'll leave you be. Oh, but one more thing is in just one more thing. You know, I believe that this manga just released its first chapter. What an intense name for a podcast.
That's the joke.
I know it is. I know it is. I'm just saying, damn. Every time I hear it, I'm just like, damn.
I honestly, I asked so many people before I was like, okay, we're going to do this, because I was like, is this offensive? Please tell me if this is offensive. I put it up on Twitter. I was like asking people in real life, is it offensive to call a show Heroin Addiction?
I'm not sure it's not, but I also think it's a pretty good title.
Has anybody been addicted to heroin listened to it?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. How would you know?
It is spelled differently.
It is spelled differently.
It's true.